In the Bond film Die Another Day, James Bond's Aston Martin Vanquish came equipped with invisibility, missiles, ejector seats, and these rather aggressive looking bonnet ornaments. And described by John Cleese at the time as
the ultimate in British engineering.
And in today's video, I'm going to try and recreate those bonnet ornaments using a 3D printer, some reference photos, and some AI technology. Friends, let's get straight on into this one.
You are watching a master at work.
So, artificial intelligence and 3D printed weapon-shaped objects. So let's start off at the beginning. These are film props, completely decorative. They are props. Props. They're non-functional. They do not fire. They do not do anything crazy. Unless, of course, you have a severe reaction to Polymaker ASA, which these are going to be printed out of. So for context, this all started when I recently visited an Aston Martin show and noticed there was one particular Vanquish receiving far more attention than everything else around it. Not because of the engine, not because of the condition or the colour, it was because of these.
This 3D printed thing.
So, eye-catching stuff here. Now, I spoke to the chap who actually owns the car, and wow, what a fantastic car it was. Now, what he said to me was that he actually bought these online, and they're around about £100. But again, they're more sort of display items than they are supposed to be for installing into a car or onto a car. The other thing was they were printed in PLA, so it was a pretty hot day and you could start to see that they were delaminating and things were starting to curl up. So big problems with temperature there, of course. And of course, it's sat on top of an engine, so you're going to have the heat coming up as well as the heat going down. So I looked at that. I also looked at the fact that they weren't really attached to the bonnet in any way, shape or form, and we spoke about potentially putting magnets on the bottom and putting it through the vent to try and keep it so that the wind or a child or an adult doesn't knock it over and end up scratching the paintwork, because those screws were real. Now, the big issue that I took with it, and again, don't get me wrong, they looked amazing. Certainly looked the part, but certainly with my background, screen accuracy is everything, and they weren't quite screen accurate. So I figured that when I got back here, could I generate this? Could I do some more research into it? And well, that's exactly what I've done. Normally creating something like this means sitting down with CAD software and patiently modelling every surface from scratch. It's a genuine skill, and AI isn't all of a sudden going to make an experienced CAD designer redundant, because pressing a button and asking for a Bond thing but pointier is not engineering. So the good news here is that we do have a lot of reference photos, and when I looked online and fed it into a GPT, what's actually on the car actually isn't a real thing. It's a prop that's been made in a studio, of course, which is a good thing, as the number of reference photos that I was able to find online could then be fed into a program to generate some really good high quality images of the prop, even down to some of the insane details that you can see here. Normally getting parts made means using multiple services, judging different systems, and dealing with unnecessary friction. PCBWay.com simplifies all of that. PCB, CNC machining, 3D printing, and sheet metal fabrication, it's all available in one place, through one single platform. You upload your design once, choose exactly what you need, and manage everything from a single dashboard. It saves time, reduces mistakes, and makes the entire process far more efficient. Check them out today at PCBWay.com. So the first generation is here. We've got it here, we've got it made, and we've got some undercoat on it at the moment. But immediately, as soon as I'd printed this, I realized that there are one or two mistakes on it that I just couldn't let go of. And first of all, it's really quite heavy because I made this big and bulky. The other thing is that it's probably the wrong size. And of course, I don't really have reference photos, but we can pretty much guess by measuring the hood and the vents that are actually on the car. So we've done a bit of work with that already, and well, we've scaled it back down again. The other changes aside from the scale is how the file had been sliced and then cut. Using Prusa Slicer, I cut the prop into sections, which not only made it easier to print, but allowed me to also improve the print quality in part on how the layer lines were then positioned. Whereas in the version 1, just being cut in half meant the tops of the prop had some quite unsightly top marks, which adds to more cleanup when undercoating. The other changes were adding dowels to the model, and this is great because it makes it simple to rejoin the parts without any guesswork. So here it is, version number 2. Happy accident here, I've only put one dowel in. Maybe that's something for the future. Wait and see, watch this space. But very, very different. Again, you can see where the layer lines do look much nicer than they did on the version 1. I don't know if you can see it in this light, but certainly if I put it up to the camera, you can see on the version 1 there, it's pretty hideous. On the version 2, much better. And then of course, by the time you then add undercoat and paint, here we go, there's one that's I've made earlier, there we go, that's one that's been painted. Just basic stuff here. All it's got is just an undercoat, and then we've just blasted it with matte black. The next thing of course then would be typically to then paint over the other parts and do some airbrush work on that, which is something I'm definitely going to do. But we do also have the Morpho UV printer, and I'm kind of thinking potentially here we could look to scan this and I could drop the reference images straight on top of this and probably get some like for like paint via the UV printer. However, there is another issue, and again, aside from the cables, which didn't come out too badly actually, they're not terrible. It is something that potentially that I would want to change, but these are facing the wrong way, and it bothers me, and I don't want someone to come onto the video and go, well, it's not right, and it has to be right. It just has to be. So version 3, here we go. So we regenerated the reference images and fed them back into Tripo. And I just want to pause for a second here and appreciate what's actually happening here. We started with a handful of photographs, we used a GPT to turn those limited angles into clearer reference images, uploaded them to Tripo, and within a few minutes we have a 3D model that we can rotate, inspect, and begin preparing for print. This time round I used image to model instead of multi-view images to 3D. It did throw out a couple of wacky designs, but 3 of these images are certainly very usable. You'll also notice the correction of the heat shroud on the model, which again is a prop. And being able to generate models as easy as this is genuinely very impressive. The obvious benefit is speed, but also accessibility. If you don't have years of CAD experience, Tripo gives you a way to turn an idea into something visual and workable without starting from a completely empty screen. Even if the generated model isn't your finished part, you now have something to refine or something far clearer to hand over to an experienced designer rather than a few photographs and some enthusiastic pointing. And I know some people will see AI being used here and completely hate the idea, and I understand why. These tools raise genuine questions about originality, skill, and the value of traditional design work. But I also don't see this as replacing a skilled CAD designer. The AI still needs good information. It can misunderstand shapes, and somebody still will need to judge the proportions, correct the geometry, and work out how the object will actually be manufactured. What Tripo changes is the starting point. It makes the process faster, lowers the barrier for people with an idea, but with limited modelling experience. It allows you to test several versions before investing hours or money into a final design. The skill hasn't disappeared, we've simply reached the stage where that skill becomes valuable much faster. So here we are, version 3, lighter and less detail than we had before, which I think is a good thing, because ultimately if you want to refine certain parts on these or add real metal parts into this, you can now do that very simply. Now we are in 2 parts. The idea here is for these to slot together. I'm also looking at the potential of maybe installing a servo for this to go up and down and for it to rotate left and right. Again, that might be a future design, certainly after this video has come out, and we will look at that. Now the other thing we've been doing, and I will show you this very quickly, is I have been looking at how we design the vents, because obviously mounting these things are sort of super important. Now I don't have a Vanquish, but I do have a different car that does have this style of vent. So I've printed up various models which look a little bit like this. This one is in ASACF, and we're probably going to use this for one of the final versions. But the idea now will be, how do we now mount this part into here? Now we can do that pretty simply, I think, by just taking the geometry of the model and adding that in here. But the other important thing is size, and we talked about that earlier. Now we've modeled this exactly now to be able to fit inside of that bonnet vent. Now I do know for a fact, and it's a bit nerdy, but the Vanquish I don't believe has enough room underneath to physically mount this in real life, but I believe my car might. Now I'm not going to show this in the video, but there is going to be some potential here to have a 3 servo setup. The problem of course with that is that I know for a fact that the engine puts out around about 130 degrees at maximum heat, and this is with heat soak once you've switched the engine off. So whether or not the servos will be able to be tolerant to that kind of temperature, I don't think they will be. But how cool would it be on a cold engine to have these pop out and then obviously do the same motions that we saw in the film. So we're going to finish off now with the paint, but Tripo has now done its job. But before we leave the software behind, this project only demonstrates one small part of what it can actually do. I've used images to create this model, but Tripo can begin with a written prompt, a sketch, a single photograph, or multiple reference views. That makes this useful whether you already know exactly what you want or simply have an idea that you need help visualizing. You can choose how you want the idea to be processed. H3.1 prioritizes detail and more complex assets, while Smart Mesh can produce much lighter models in under 5 seconds when speed and easier editing matter more. The model can then be refined, segmented into separate components, and exported without having to constantly jump between platforms. For 3D printing, that could mean creating props, miniatures, toys, display pieces, or early product concepts, but the same workflow could always produce assets for games, animation, visual effects, product design, branding, or e-commerce. The benefit isn't simply that it creates a model quickly, it allows you to test ideas, reject the terrible ones, develop the promising ones, and communicate exactly what you want before committing significant time or money to the final design. And while this isn't a magic button that guarantees a production-ready part, and certainly this project has shown that quite clearly, the quality of the information that you provide certainly still matters. And the model still may require somebody with the knowledge to correct, engineer, or prepare it properly. But it does turn, I have an idea, into, here is something that we can actually work with. And that is a substantial advantage. Octopuses aside, let's get on with some paintwork. So usually when I'm painting props, I do tend to take my time over things. However, with the video pending and another Aston event at the end of the month, I hop to it. Again, we do have a 2K base primer with some matte black over the top, then I threw some basic silver over the top of that. Then I decided at this point it was a good idea to try that UV printing idea that I had. Now usually UV printers prefer a flat surface, and if I had designed this in parts that were pretty much flat, I could simply throw the artwork over the top. However, due to the nature of this model, we were always going to get some distortion and shadowing, which in this case was perfect, mainly because we don't want a clean, fresh prop. We want something dirty and a little bit used. Don't even start on that comment. Once I'd completed that process on both prop heads and bottom sections, I took them back for airbrushing. Mostly here it's about getting the prop dirty and adding shadow and detail. I then used a silver marker pen to add scratch elements and then mounted the props to the bases with super glue. I left them to dry for 30 minutes and then went back to inspect my work. The Morpho UV printer did a great job at adding some colour and details to the prop. The red sections on the base are certainly noteworthy. And then, because I'm a child, this happened. Let's get back to reality, shall we? Because the props are done. We've now added these other little elements onto the back here, which is basically the cabling. And potentially in the future, if we wanted to do something with this and mod it and maybe put some servos into it, well, we might do that in the very near future. So these are the props. And to be honest with you, I'm calling this done at this point because we've got an event at the end of August, which is called Simply Aston. It's going to be in Bewley in the UK. If you're going along, come and say hi. If you're not, and you're here for the technology, you're here for the AI, you're here for UV printing, whatever it might be, thank you very much for watching. I just want to thank a few people. First of all, PCBWay for looking after us on the channel. Tripo AI, especially Tripo AI for sticking with us. Now, I've seen Tripo AI, I think it was in China first and foremost. Then we saw you again in Japan. And again, this video, it's one of a few videos I'm going to make on AI. And hopefully this has done you proud. Hope it has. I've really enjoyed using the software. So thank you very much again for sticking with me. PCBWay, Prusa printers, and of course Polymaker filaments. All links for all of this stuff will be down in the description below. And of course we've got the Morpho UV printer as well. Can't forget that, coming very, very, very soon to Kickstarter, probably around the time that this video comes out. That printer will also be in the links as well. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do that. Just click a button. Easy. Maybe click a like, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Friends, we will see you next time. Thanks for allowing me to take you on this amazing journey of creativity. I'm feeling inspired. Wait for the next video. Friends, we will see you next time. Bye for now.
You are watching a master at work.